guys, today I wanted to do a review of Crystal Palace, so without further ado we'll get into it. We'll start off with their form recently, and to be honest, it's not been good. In the past 9 games they've only actually won 1 game. I believe that was away at Bournemouth. So it's not a very good time right now for Crystal Palace. They haven't managed to slip into like a relegation battle. I think they did too well at the start of the season to do that, because prior to this 1-winning 9-game run, they actually went on a run of winning 4 in 6 games. So, you know, it's been a bit hit and miss, the form this season for Crystal Palace, but, you know, they will want to get winning games again, because you don't want to get pulled into a relegation battle. I don't think that's going to happen. I do think that Palace have the quality of player to avoid that. And in both cups, both of the times they went out at the third round, in the FA Cup they lost to Southampton. I think it was a 2-1 loss. James Ward-Prowse scoring a free kick, and to Newcastle in the EFL Cup, who, you know, they've made it to the final, so that's no, you know, embarrassment definitely. But it's not been great in either competition or league of late, so it's something that could be improved upon. The best starting 11 at the moment, I think 4-3-3 has been Palace's best formation overall under Patrick Vieira, and I think Vicente Guaita in goal, although he has his moments, I don't think he's that bad a goalkeeper. He just has a mistake in him, which, you know, can be a problem at times, but I don't think he's too bad, to be honest. And they have got Sam Johnston as backup. I think Sam Johnston at some point will probably be brought in as number 1, mainly because he's looked good at times when he has had chances in the Premier League. I think back to when he was at West Brom a few seasons ago. I think he did really well that season in a really poor side, and Guaita is knocking on a bit now, so it should, you know, happen eventually, I think. And then the defence, I think Joel Ward has probably been slightly better and more consistent than Nathaniel Klein this season. And then the centre-back pairing, obviously Mark Gehi and Joachim Andersen, they've been brilliant together. Andersen struggled a little bit recently with fitness, and I think that might be a big reason why Palace have struggled a little bit more of late. Tyrick Mitchell, again, he's another player who hasn't been in the greatest form recently, but he's still Palace's best left-back by a mile, and they haven't got many in that position, to be honest. And then midfield 3, I think Iber Eze's got to be in this team. He's just such a talented natural dribbler of the ball, brilliant at creating for his teammates. Cheick Doucouré, I think, has been a success for Palace this season. I think in that holding midfield role, that was a position last season at times which always felt as though they needed someone new to come in, because Milivojevic and Hughes, and I think even MacArthur at times, all like shared the responsibility. But Doucouré's come in this season, and I think 95% of the time he's been playing in that role. And then Jeff Schlupp, I think, on the left of the 3, I think is a consistent performer again. It's felt like this is the first time he's managed to nail down a, you know, consistent position in a team since he's been in English football. You know, he's been in the Premier League, I reckon, for about a good 8 years now, between his time at Leicester and Crystal Palace, and this feels like the first time he's managed to nail down a spot in a starting 11. And then a front 3, I think Michael Olise on the right wing. He's just such a talented player, really young as well. Wilf Zaha on the left. I know he's still got a bit of a cloud over his future at Crystal Palace, over what's going to happen. And Odsonne Edouard down the centre, I think, is probably the preferable option to Jean-Philippe Mateta. But, you know, it's not a bad starting 11. And the manager, Patrick Vieira, I think he's doing a good job at Crystal Palace. I think that's fair to say. In the 18 months he's been there now, since Roy Hodgson left, he hasn't improved results hugely. I think there might have been like a slight improvement since he's been there, but the style of football, and I think the excitement for the fans of Crystal Palace, is something that he definitely has improved. So I think there is a lot more of a positive feel around Crystal Palace, because it just feels like there's a plan going forward a little bit with the style of recruitment as well in young players like Eze and Olise over the past couple of years. And yeah, I just think it feels a bit more positive. It might not have taken full effect yet, but it just felt as though things under Hodgson were always going to go a little bit stale at some point, and it felt as though it's only a matter of time before Palace's results do start to drop off. As you know, it was just a bit of a boring style of football. Although Hodgson overall did do a good job, I don't mean to slander him in any way, but yeah, it feels a bit more exciting under Vieira is one thing I would say. And then for players incoming, I've picked 3. I think Palace need a fullback, because there's only 3 real standout options, and that's Ward and Klein at right back and Mitchell at left back. I think Nathan Ferguson can do a job in either position, but he's still relatively untested in the Premier League. So I've gone with just an experienced player in Christian Gamboa. He's got experience playing in the Premier League with West Brom previously. He'd be very cheap. He's only got a transfer market value of £1 million, and he's a very good tackler of the ball, and would suit Palace's very vertical style of play in getting the ball straight out to the wingers to take on the fullbacks. So I think that would be a very shrewd signing if they could just sign him in, even if it's only a short-term signing. And then in midfield, I think they could do with another creative midfielder, because it still feels to me as though when Ebere Eze is out of the team, whether it be to injury or slight lack of form, which has been the case at times this season. It happens to every young player. He's still only 24, I think, Eze. And they signed a couple of midfielders in January in Lokonga and Ahamada, but Ahamada we still don't know a lot about. But I think Lazar Samardzic would be a very good signing. His strengths include his dribbling, his passing, and also he can take a set piece. I don't think that's a necessity for Palace right now, seeing what Michael Olise can do from set pieces, especially against Man United for that equaliser. He'd be cheap. He's only got a market value of £5 million. So yeah, I think that would be a very smart signing as well. Good age as well. And then the final player I've picked out is Matthias Chagny from Lazio. A very good dribbler of the ball, and wins a lot of fouls. So he could potentially be a replacement to Wilfried Zaha if Zaha was to leave. His market value is 22 million, so he wouldn't be as cheap as the other 2 players I've suggested, but it's definitely crying out at the moment with Crystal Palace for a new left winger, because I can't see Zaha staying on, to be honest. I think Zaha, I obviously don't know what it's like to be him, but I would imagine he sort of maybe wants to test himself just somewhere else, maybe a different league, like I don't know, maybe Italy or somewhere. So I think signing him, and also even if he doesn't leave, I think Palace are a little short on options out on the left. I think Eze's probably the next best solution when Zaha isn't there, and Eze isn't really a winger. So I think they could do with the extra option anyway. So yeah, I think they'd be very smart signings. And yeah, to summarise, it's going all right for Palace as a club over Vieira's time there. The results have dropped off recently, but I think you have to take into account with that as well the calibre of team they've actually been playing in the league recently in that 9-game run. I think they've played Man United twice. I'm pretty sure they've played... I think they've played Arsenal in that run. Chelsea they've played. So they haven't had easy games. Newcastle as well. There's been some tough games within that run, so it can happen to any team, as I say. But yeah, I think they're doing all right at the moment anyway.